If you're training for a SOF selection and you're having pain with your strength training, then this is the video for you. I'm going to go into discussing the 3 main pain triggers I look for with my clients who are dealing with pain that allows us to modify their training so they can continue building strength while we get rid of this pain, right? And the 3 main pain triggers is intensity, volume, and range of motion. Right, so the first one we're going to look at is intensity. I'm going to give you kind of the step-by-step process I look for when I'm looking at each one of these pain triggers and how I modify around that, right? So for intensity, really what we're looking at is the weight on the bar or weight on the machine, whichever kind of style of strength training you prefer. And when we're looking at the actual weight or the intensity on the bar, we know that intensity is our pain trigger. When we reach a certain weight, that's when the pain starts, right? So looking at the squat as an example, I feel like the squat's the easiest thing to really fully understand. You know, we're doing our warm-up sets, we're doing our workup sets, and we get to let's say 275, and that's when the pain starts, right? That's how we know that intensity is our pain trigger, because at 235, 245, there was no pain, but once we got up to 275, we started to experience pain. Right, so that's how we know that intensity is the pain trigger. So when we know that, and when we have a good guess that that's what we're dealing with, it's simply as staying below that pain threshold, right? Staying below that weight that causes the pain. I know what you're thinking, right? What if it's so low that, obviously I'm stronger than that, it doesn't really give me a challenge. And there are ways that you can modify your training so at lower weights, it still feels challenging. You're still getting a good training stimulus out of it. And that's like using tempo, right? So I like to use a 3-second count down, 3-second count up tempo. When you're using lighter weights, you'll be surprised how challenging that really is when you're working a little bit of volume with that. And there's also options like doing single leg work. A lot of times if intensity is our pain trigger, when we are focused more on single leg strengthening, we can't really get up to that high intensity that we usually do with double leg work that usually causes the pain, right? So 2 things, adding tempo and doing more single leg work could be ways that you can modify your training while you're staying below that pain threshold of intensity. Next one is volume. So we can look at volume within intraset, so the amount of reps within a set, or across a training session or across a training week, right? When we're looking at intraset volume, a number of reps per set, say we're going to the gym and our goal is to do a 3 sets of 12, but around that 8 to 9 rep range, that's when the pain starts after each set. Well, that's just indicating that maybe we need to stay below that 8 or 9 threshold, right? So doing 3 sets of 6. I know it sounds crazy, but doing 3 sets of 7. For a little bit of time, maybe 2 to 3 weeks until your body desensitizes, your body adapts, and you can slowly start building up the volume. And then we're looking at between actual training sessions, a lot of times you see, I have to do upper body day and I have to do leg day. But oftentimes when I'm talking to guys who are dealing with pain training, they're just doing too much volume of legs, too much volume of upper body within the training session, which leads to 3-4 days of pain, 3 to 4 days of soreness, because you're not giving your body enough time to recover within the actual session. Same thing with a week. If you get to Friday and a certain part of your body just feels crushed, you're having this pain on a week-to-week basis, it takes you to Monday or Tuesday to fully recover, when we're probably doing a little bit too much volume and we need to reduce our overall volume throughout the week. Right, so that really sums up volume. The next thing is range of motion, right? So we're looking at the actual joints here. If, for the squat example, the bottom of the squat, you're in the hole with the ass to grass squat, that's when you feel pain. Or with the bench when you get to the chest. Or with the deadlift, the initial pull off the ground. That's when you start experiencing the pain. When just reducing the range of motion. For the squat, doing a box squat or a pin squat. For the deadlift, doing block pulls. For the bench press, doing a block press or a pin press where you're putting the block on your chest to reduce some of that range of motion within tolerable ranges are good ways that you can modify your training so you can continue training, you can continue building strength while keeping out of those sensitive ranges of motion. So then what, right? I mentioned a little bit during volume, but I always like to tell people for like 2 to 3 weeks, stick with that modification that keeps you below that pain threshold to allow your body to desensitize, to allow your body to adapt so that you can slowly start progressing back into full training, right? If you have any questions about this, click the link in the description, head over to my Facebook group, join that, and you can ask as many questions as you want, and you can get more information like this on a more frequent basis.